Welcome back to Conversations with Ted. My name is Chris Wilson, and today we will be speaking with Mike Vaughn. Mike is a corporate attorney based in Los Angeles, California, and he recently joined us at the beginning of 2021. Welcome, Mike, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris. Happy to be here.
I know you're one of our new attorneys here in our model, and I thought perhaps today we could explore a little bit about some of the reasons why you decided to join Taylor English. I know you had lots of opportunities when you were looking around towards the end of last year when you and I began to speak, and there were different options you had as far as career paths go. Sort of what appealed to you from Taylor English? What kind of got your attention, and ultimately what helped you make the choice about joining us here at Taylor English Duma?
Well, Chris, the first thing that really appealed to me was the concentration, the collection of attorneys that Taylor English has that have served as general counsel in in-house roles. That's been an important facet of my career, and it's helped me develop as an outside lawyer, just having been involved within the inner workings of a company from the inside. And so when I saw the great number of Taylor English attorneys that were former general counsels, I knew I'd have a receptive environment.
That's interesting. You have had a kind of a varied career in different stops. You've been in, how many companies were you in-house counsel or general counsel with?
I was GC for two companies, Chris. First, I was general counsel for a publicly held software company. And when I left that company, I joined a privately held venture capital-backed medical device company, a manufacturer of medical devices. Before I went in-house, I was also a quasi, outside GC, if you will, for two publicly held companies in major expansion programs. Essentially, the last 3 or 4 years before I went in-house, I served almost exclusively for those two clients.
And so being a purchaser of legal services for such a long period of time, because presumably you had outside counsel in addition to yourself and maybe some other in-house counsel, presumably you also had some outside counsel that you were hiring to work with other law firms. What were some of the things you looked at when you were a buyer of legal services? And how have you maybe used that to your advantage now that you're on the other side and you're a seller of legal services?
That's a great question, Chris, and a key point. As a purchaser of legal services, it's really allowed me to look at the role of the attorney and the client from all sides, from both sides of the window, if you will. Understanding how law firms and their attorneys behave, how they approach work, how they balance considerations involved in the relationship.
Any helpful hints out there coming from your perspective from being in-house to those that might be watching us today talking? Do you have any helpful hints for them on how best to help their clients and help in-house counsel succeed, and then maybe you get to grow that relationship with that in-house counsel? Do you have any helpful hints there?
I do, Chris. I'm reminded of some words of advice that I received from one of my mentors early in my career. And it was during a period of time when I was, before I had gone in-house, and I was supporting these two other publicly held companies in their expansion programs. My mentor, the senior partner of the firm that I first joined out of law school, suggested to me that my role is making the general counsel's life easier. It's as simple as that. And that revolves around trust and confidence and being available, being resourceful, being curious, being communicative, and all of these things that you need in your day-to-day practice.
Interesting. And so when you were looking for a new home, you and I began to have a conversation, and ultimately you decided to join us, even though you did have opportunities to go elsewhere, including an AmLaw 200 firm. Was there anything in particular that sort of, in addition to the sort of bench strength that we had of former in-house and general counsels, was there anything else that sort of appealed to you with our model versus, say, going to that AmLaw 200 firm, which, is one of the larger ones out there?
Well, it wasn't just the AmLaw 200 opportunity that I was staring in front of. It was a little bit deeper and more nuanced, if you will, Chris. I've been practicing for 34 years, and I don't know, I'm not going to be doing this for another 34 years. as I approach the twilight of my career, if you will, what's become very important to me is it's not just the compensation. It's not just the golden egg of the partnership at the very large law firm. It's the challenge, it's the opportunity, it's the relationships we foster with our clients and our communities around us. What really impressed me about Taylor English is its client-centric focus. I've grown, I've learned how to look at the world through the eyes of my clients, and I could see that from Taylor English as well. It matters, and we're trying to build trust and confidence, and the fee relationship, the spending environment is so much a part of that that you can't dismiss it. It has to be seen through the eyes of the client.
In the transition period of joining us and leaving your old firm, did you communicate that with your clients at all of the fact that while you might be changing law firms, your focus on their needs and what they needed from you and from their law firm wasn't going to change any? Did you have those kinds of conversations with them?
I absolutely did, Chris. And before I made this move, the realization that I had was that my clients, they've grown to like me and appreciate me, I think, in large part because I wasn't in a large international law firm, that I was in a small firm, and essentially their relationship was more with me than it was the law firm of which I was a partner. And so, reinforcing that relationship by letting them know that the client relationship was at the core of my decision making and wasn't going to change.
So what are some of the fun things you do besides practicing law? What have you done? You got any hobbies or other fun things that you do?
Well, my wife and I love to go hiking, Chris. So when we have the chance, we like to take a few days, a long weekend if we can, and go visit a place where we haven't been before and hike. I think I shared with you last fall, I went to Zion National Park and we had some, epic hikes. They were just terrific. I'm also very involved in my community. I'm a former city council member in the city in which I've lived for the last 30 plus years. I'm involved in community organizations. I'm on the board of directors of our Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the board of directors of our local homeowners association. I think it's important for attorneys to be involved in the communities in which they serve. Our clients certainly are. And if our clients understand that their outside lawyers understand their communities, understand their local government, it helps them see the client's, viewpoint as well.
Do you have any favorite client stories from your time, whether a few years ago or in-house, that sort of epitomizes being in-house counsel? Or I was in-house counsel for a couple of years, and I remember it seemed like I was the repository, and I don't know how it happened, but I was the repository for all the employees who had personal legal issues that would come into my office all the time and sit down and tell me about all their problems. Some of them were with their HOAs, by the way. Did you ever have any funny stories like that in those situations?
Oh, I have several funny stories, some of which I can actually share in public. The one that is recurring, Chris, and this is when I was in a publicly traded software company. From time to time, people would come into my office and say, Mike, I want you to approve this contract because I need to get your approval of this contract. And sometimes I would find out that whoever it was that was promoting that contract, that relationship, really didn't understand what the paper was. Didn't understand what the paper provided for in terms of the contractual relationship. So invariably, I would say, I'd be happy to do that, but first I want you to sit down and tell me about it. Let's understand what we're doing, both sides, what we're trying to get out of this and what the other side's trying to get out of this, and help me understand what you think this contract says. But I'm not going to read it and tell you it's okay until I understand what you think it's supposed to do.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule today to chat with us. And why don't we adjourn to the bar behind me, and at a minimum, I'll buy you a virtual adult beverage, and we can go enjoy the rest of our day. Thanks a lot for your time, Mike. Appreciate it.
To your virtual health, Chris. Nice talking with you as always.